start by asking a very crucial question, which may sound monotonous but very apt. When last did you check your blood pressure? Well, if you haven't for a while, well, I think you should. Hypertension, often referred to as a silent killer, remains a leading public health challenge due to high prevalence among adults. Today, attention draws to the world at Hypertension Day with the theme Measure Your Blood Pressure Accurately, Control It, Live Longer. Report says more than 1 billion people around the world have hypertension, which raises risk of premature death from several diseases. With 1 in 3 adults living with hypertension, of these numbers, about 2/3 live in the low and middle income countries, including Nigeria. Now, uncontrolled blood pressure is one of the main risk factors for cardiovascular disease and is estimated to be responsible for more than 10 million deaths yearly. But unfortunately, only about 1 in 5 people with hypertension have their blood pressure controlled. Now, the World Health Organization says management and treatment for hypertension is safe, effective and low cost. So as the world raises awareness about hypertension today by promoting prevention, detection and management, we will beam our spotlight on the effect and management of hypertension. Our guest is Dr. Aderonke Akonde, the Director of Disease Control, FCT Primary Healthcare Board. Thank you for joining us. This is Weekend File. I'm Bruce Aguela. First, let's bring you the news. President Bola Tinubu is in Rome, Italy, ahead of tomorrow's Sunday solemn mass marking the beginning of the pontificate of His Holiness Pope Leo XIV, the 267th Bishop of Rome and a new leader of the Roman Catholic Church. The presidential airplane landed at Mario de Bernardo Military Airport, Rome, at about 6 p.m. local time this Saturday. The president was received on arrival by a representative of the Vatican, Federico Marticardi. Presidential advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, revealed the personal invitation from the new pope to the Nigerian leader. In the papal invitation, Pope Leo XIV underscored the need for President Tinubu's physical presence at this moment of particular importance for the Catholic Church and the world afflicted by many tensions and conflicts. Pope Leo XIV, formerly Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, will be formally installed to the exalted office this Sunday. And now joining us all the way from Rome is the Honorable Minister of State Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu. She joins us live. Thank you very much for joining us, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
With this personal invitation to the President, what does this portend for Nigeria?
Well, as you know, a personal invitation was extended to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu by Cardinal Pietro Parolin. This was extended on behalf of the Pope. And of course, we all know that Pope Leo XIV spent a great deal of time in Nigeria in the 1980s when he worked in the Apostolic Nunciature in Lagos. And it was particularly important to him that President Tinubu attend in person this very, very important installation mass. In fact, he went as far as describing President Tinubu's presence as significant at this moment of particular importance, not just for the Catholic Church, but bearing in mind that we are living in a world afflicted by many tensions and conflicts. And he recalled his period in Nigeria with very, very fond memories. And it is based on this personal relationship that the president put together a very powerful delegation. He was accompanied by leading figures from Nigeria's Catholic community, including, of course, Archbishop Lucius Ugoji of Owerri. He's, as you know, the president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria. And of course, we have Archbishop Kaigama of Abuja, Archbishop Alfred Martins of Lagos, and Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka of Sokoto.
All right, now following the papal invitation, how does the presence of Nigeria, being led by the president, how would this build, a good relationship between Nigeria and the Vatican?
Of course, the new pontiff is the spiritual leader of over 1.4 billion Catholics worldwide. As he had already mentioned, we're living in a world punctuated by so many tensions, so many conflicts, so much unrest. And Nigeria's Catholic community understand the importance and the stabilizing effect the pontiff will bring to the New World Order. We, of course, appreciate the fact that he has considered Nigeria a very, very important country in Africa, being, of course, the most populous nation in Africa. And with the president's foreign policy thrust, with the president's concentration on ensuring that one of the key elements, policing peace across the African continent, and also ensuring that there is religious tolerance across the country. I think it's particularly significant that being a Muslim, he accepted this invitation to join in the Pontifical Mass tomorrow. It says a lot about his approach to ensuring that he's a president for all Nigerians, irrespective of creed or religious affiliations.
Well said, Your Excellency. Thank you very much for joining us on Weekend File.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's turn our attention back home. The federal government has flagged off a capacity building program tagged Skills to Wealth, aimed at training more than 1,000 youth on entrepreneurial opportunities under the Renewed Hope Initiative. Musa Toliet reports that Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Professor Nentawe Yildwada, declared the training program opened in Lagos.
Nigeria is blessed with abundant human and natural resources to take her place among the Community of Nations, but socioeconomic challenges such as rising unemployment, infrastructure deficits, and skills gap hinder labor productivity. The launch of the Skill to Wealth program under the Renewed Hope Initiative of the federal government is therefore intended to address the challenges militating against youth development, and it is expected to be launched across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
We are here not just to begin a training program, but to ignite a movement powered by young Nigerians who are hungry to learn, eager to grow, and ready to build a future that reflects their true potential. The Skill to Wealth program is designed to serve as a catalyst for transformation.
The 3-week program will empower youths in the Southwest with requisite skills in 3 identified sectors, which include agriculture, renewable energy, and automobile engineering.
Under the agri sector, we are looking at about nothing less than 54 participants that will be fully trained, change their mindset about food security, and makes them be their own boss.
Our youths are serious-minded young people. They are going to maximize the opportunity because it is going to be an intensive and a very detailed program.
A greenhouse, automobile, and solar systems meant to support practical hands-on for the trainees were unveiled in Lagos. Musa Toliat, NTA News.
And from skills to education, as the federal government says it is committed to enhancing teaching and learning processes to align with global best practices. Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaiba Ahmed, emphasized this during an inspection visit to Federal Government College, Kano. Yahana Suhasambarao reports.
The Minister of Education, Professor Suwaiba Said Ahmed, visited Federal Government College, Kano, as part of the federal government's nationwide assessment of unity schools aimed at improving the quality of education. Upon arrival at the college, the minister's first point of call was the assembly ground, where she interacted with teachers and students. Professor Suwaiba encouraged the students to focus on their studies, reminding them of the critical role education plays in building a successful future.
The good news for all the colleges of education, because of the complaint we have had, we have put it in the budget a lot of money, 60 to 80 billion for the renovation of our federal unity colleges, and this will soon implement once we start implementing the budget.
After the assembly, the minister proceeded to inspect the hostels, dining hall, laboratories and classrooms, assessing the state of facilities. The minister is expected to visit all federal government colleges across the country. In Kano, Yahana Sahasambaro, NTA News.
The technical glitch that occurred in the 2025 UTME affected close to 400,000 candidates. JAMB had accepted responsibility and rescheduled another exam for the affected candidates. And today, some candidates sat for the exam. And here is a compilation of how the exercise went in some states.
In Owerri, Kate Osunwa reports that candidates in Imo State filed out early at different computer-based test centers. There were improvements in accessibility, conduct and timeliness in some designated centers. However, few cases were reported of late communication of information, as attested to by Chidera Ugocha, who had to travel down to Owerri from Enugu and unfortunately missed the examination.
My jam supposed to be by 6:30, but I came by 7:45. So they told me I couldn't enter, that I've already missed my jam exam, so I can't resit with these current people that are writing.
Whenever they are doing this type of thing, this type of amendment, time should be given to the students to prepare, to rearrange their hearts and mind and prepare for the exams.
From Abakaliki, Chinaza John, who monitored the exercise in Ebonyi State, reports that candidates were nervous at commencement in some of the 10 CBT centers in the state, but successfully participated in the examination.
My mark was, I didn't got it. I was annoyed. But when they said we should write, I was very, very happy that I'm sure that I'm going to make it this job.
Before the exam, some people, their assistants weren't okay. But then they worked on it and then it became normal.
Let's say, first of all, it was kind of scary, but we overcome it. And again, my system was about to off, but it was connection disconnected, not it was off. But it was really amazing.
There is a renewed call on JAMB to strengthen existing information and communications facilities for effective conduct of future examinations.
In other news, in what can be described as a historic turn of events in Nigeria, Guinness Nigeria PLC has brought the English Premier League trophy to Enugu amidst cheers by sports lovers in the coal city, who invariably constitute a greater percent of consumers of Guinness drinks in the country. Let's hear from Grace Chukuma.
As part of activities marking the day, there was a press conference by the Guinness team where Enugu residents were appreciated for their high patronage of Guinness drinks.
It's the first time it's happening, not just in the Southeast, but in Nigeria, where a football club is celebrating the boy child.
Enugu has a storied history of sporting excellence, sporting legends, and particularly football.
Meanwhile, football fans were hosted at Newbury Sport, where they watched live English Premier League match between Manchester United and Chelsea at the Stamford Bridge, London, which ended in 1-0 in favour of Chelsea.
Seizing the opportunity of this trophy tour to bring our consumers and the members of the public together. It's about just giving them an opportunity to really enjoy the game they love. So I think Match Day has been very impactful.
The program climaxed to a courtesy visit on the governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba, at the government house. While presenting the English Premier League trophy to the governor, the leader of the delegation and director, Corporate Relations, Guinness Nigeria PLC, Rotimi Odushola, noted that Enugu is their first port of call after receiving the trophy because the state holds a formidable history in Nigeria's football trajectory. Speaking after receiving the trophy, Governor Mba says he looks forward to cooperating with the Guinness Nigeria PLC to foster sports development in the state.
Like Guinness, we regard sports as a very positive force in Enugu.
Guinness Nigeria PLC, makers of Guinness beer, malt and other assorted drinks, is known for its robust reward system for patronage.
President Bola Tinubu congratulates Professor Mary Nanwo-La, a famous educationist and one-time Nigerian ambassador to the Netherlands, on her 90th birthday. The president extols the non-Nigerian for her pace-setting contributions to education, diplomacy, and nation-building. He recalls the celebrant's supportive role during her husband, Chief Solomon Lar's tenure as the first civilian governor of Plateau State, and wished her more years and sound health. Joseph Adolo Okoti-Eno Peace and Conflict Resolution Foundation Center has been officially inaugurated by the Delta State Governor in Warri, South Local Government Area of Delta State. Chinyere Okoli reports.
Aforishe Fere Awoshika Ni Okotebo, who spoke on behalf of the Okotebo family, said Joseph Adolo Okotebo was a dogged fighter of peace in his personality as a man who always seek for peace while alive. The family decided to immortalize his name by establishing Joseph Adolo Okotebo Peace and Conflict Resolution Foundation Center for Memorial, who left this world 5 years ago.
From the place of pain, deep pain, gave back to what is his best character. And the best character I had was seeking for peace and seeking for conflict resolution in the place where there are troubles, in the place where there are differences.
It is the foundation for thriving communities, flourishing youth, and enduring democracy. Where peace exists, development takes root.
This center is going to serve as a basis to bring them together on why peaceful coexistence is necessary.
We have multiplicity of conflicts arising everywhere. And the only thing that we need is the conciliatory efforts that will bring peace.
High point of the ceremony was the signing and handing over to the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, who will manage the center for effective use. Chinyere Okoli, NTA News.
Don't forget, it's World Hypertension Day, and we are lending our voices, talking about NTA, on prevention, detection, and management. That's our focus after the break.
This May, all road leads to the heart of Akwa Ibom. It's the 2025 NPRW Nigeria Public Relations Week, 19th to 24th May 2025, at the stunning Sidapek Hotel, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. This is a grand convergence of top minds in PR, media, government, and business, with His Excellency Pastor Umo Eno, Governor of Akwa Ibom State. A special guest of honor. Keynote speaker is Professor Taiwo Oyedele. Chief host Alhaji Mohammed Idris, FNIPR, Minister of Information and National orientation. Host Dr. Ikene Liako, FNIPR, President and Chairman of Council. Chairman Planning Committee, Yomi Badijo Kusoya, FNIPR. Get ready for the NIPR AGM and Conference, Youth Forums, Golf Kitty, Cultural Tours, induction of NIPR fellows and members, and more. www.nprweek.niprng.org.ng. NPRW 2025. Boldly. Public Relations. Stanley Ogadigo, FNIPR, Director of Public Relations, announcer.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
I just gave my home a whole new vibe with Vento. Premium style and a 40% discount. That's the first strike. And this, a chance to win an all-inclusive holiday in Turkey. Now that's the double strike. Go ahead, Vento it.
We're live in the open market for Epic 10X Challenge. My people, today now. Today, I will show you how the power of new Epic 10X gives your toilet a better cleaning than bleach.
Than bleach?
Yes, so.
Impossible.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Epic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10X better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow.
You can now see that Epic is better than bleach.
Unwrap joy, unleash taste.
No buy am. But why? No see say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal. Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull Rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
The world needs moms. With a splash of Golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Change no thanks into yes please. And resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty family meals is all that matters. Where there are moms, there is love. Golden Terra oil. Pour pure love.
So why do you need Dettol 12-hour protective shield?
Why? Come, let me show you. From my husband's germ-filled journey to war, to his daily interaction, touching where everyone has touched, and the sweaty journey back home. What else can give you all day long protection?
Germs are everywhere, but Dettol's 12-hour protective shield shields your family every day,
Keeping them safe, healthy, happy, and successful.
Dettol, be 100% sure.
Thank you for staying tuned. High blood pressure, also known as hypertension, is a major and common health challenge. While global efforts to raise awareness about the prevention, detection and control of hypertension are increasing, the burden remains staggering. Cases in Nigeria are no exception as the nation grapples with its own share of the growing crisis. But how is Nigeria ramping up efforts to tackle the burden of hypertension? And is the message of awareness and prevention truly reaching everyone? Oluseye Adiagbo takes a closer look at the ailment.
According to estimates by the World Health Organization, approximately 1.82 billion adults aged 30 to 79 worldwide have hypertension. Alarmingly, 2/3 of them reside in low- and middle-income countries. Hypertension is a leading risk factor for cardiovascular and kidney diseases globally, contributing to over 10 million deaths each year. In Nigeria, over 90 million people out of a population exceeding 230 million are currently living with hypertension.
From 18 years and above, Nigerians, 90 million are having high blood pressure. So that is to tell you how serious the burden of the disease on the nation. And this has been linked to three major things among Nigerians. Number one, our stress level, then our diet. We are getting westernized, then urbanization.
On this World Hypertension Day 2025, global and national commitments are once again being reaffirmed. However, the true measure of success lies in turning these commitments into action, ensuring every individual has the opportunity to live a longer, healthier life, free from the preventable complications of hypertension. In Abuja, Oluseye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Well, to ensure hypertension and other health challenges are reduced, the National Orientation Agency is intensifying campaign on the need for members of the public to cut down the quantity of salt being consumed on a daily basis. And the campaign is in line with the World Health Hypertension Day, which is today. Let's hear from Kenneth Nani.
As part of events to commemorate World Hypertension Day, the National Orientation Agency, in line with its mandate on public enlightenment, has flagged off a national campaign on sodium intake reduction, having identified too much consumption of salt as a major cause of hypertension. The agency, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, is urging citizens to take precaution and be mindful of what they eat on a daily basis.
That tablespoon is what you need per day. Check your blood pressure regularly, even if you feel fine. Processed food, they contain a lot of salt and sugar, and we call them junks. They are not healthy. And apart from that, they have been documented to cause cancer and all those things. You can see in those days, when they are talking of cancer, we will say they are not here in Nigeria. Our forefathers, they don't really, majority of them didn't have cancer because they eat and live healthy.
This initiative, therefore, aims to enlighten Nigerians on the health dangers of excessive salt consumption and to encourage healthier dietary habits that can prevent hypertension.
Here, regular medical check is being recommended for a healthy living. And to practicalize the Duty Care campaign, the agency is offering free medical services to the members of the public within the office area. The National Orientation Agency and its partner are also on the same page regarding implementation of health standards by relevant agencies and adherence to national guidelines by citizens. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
One step to go, I would say, but let's expand the discuss. We have in the studio Dr. Aderonke Akonde. She is the Director, Disease Control, FCT Primary Healthcare Board. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Akonde.
Thank you for having me.
Just before we delve into the awareness, which is very crucial, we see what the NOA is already doing. Tell us how crucial is hypertension, especially in this part of the world?
Thank you very much. Hypertension is excessive blood pressure, and this has been the leading cause of death globally and the leading cause of cardiovascular deaths globally, and over 80% of these deaths occurs in sub-Saharan Africa, in which Nigeria is one of them. So globally, there are over 1.3 billion people suffering from hypertension. The implication of this is that out of about 10 people in the world, almost about 2 or 3 are hypertensive. And in Nigeria, if you have 10 people in a room, over 4 to 5 of those people are hypertensive. And globally, hypertension alone is the leading risk factor for death. All the deaths recorded in the whole world show that hypertension comes first. So it is a very serious disease, a silent killer that kills without giving notice. When you hear hypertension, a lot of people take it with levity, and you get to see all sorts of names given to it. Some call it high blood pressure, and there is a very distinct difference between high blood pressure and hypertension. High blood pressure is when the force of circulating blood against arteries, that's the blood vessels carrying the blood from the heart to the body. When this force is in excessive, that is when you have elevated blood pressure. And physiologically, elevated blood pressure could actually be normal when you undergo some exercise or other work that could be stressful to you. So it is expected that your blood pressure could be a bit elevated. However, whenever there is persistent elevated blood pressure, that means the force of circulating blood in this artery became so excessive that it refuses to come down. Then when you measure it in 2 or more occasions, then it becomes hypertension. So this is the implication of this disease globally and in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, the prevalence varies across the 6 geopolitical zone. We have a lot of studies, scientific studies, that actually confirm that in various geopolitical zones in Nigeria, the prevalence of hypertension are different. When you go down the southeast, there is highest prevalence of about 5 to 6 out of 10 people coming down with hypertension. When you come to the north central, in which we have Abuja and other states, you can get as low as 3 to 4 people out of 10 people coming down with hypertension. However, this disease is peculiar because it doesn't give symptoms and it doesn't give sign.
I like the fact you ended with symptom and sign. So what's the first step, and what are the behavioral risk factors?
So behavioral risk factors for hypertension can be broadly grouped into 2. We have modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors. The modifiable risk factors include your age. Non-modifiable ones include your age. You can't change your age. You can't change your sex. You can't change the family in which you belong. There are some families in which you find hypertension. Primarily, this type of hypertension that are described as primary hypertension, it runs in the family.
So is it hereditary?
It could be hereditary.
Okay.
So you can have this, but you can't change the family in which you belong to. However, there are some modifiable ones in which you can change, particularly obesity. When someone is obese, it's a very high risk factor to hypertension. The implication of this is that if you come from a family that suffers hypertension and you are on the slim side, so you have to take caution, modify this risk factor so that you don't come down with obesity. Another one is the lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle. The way we sit down for too long, lack of exercise is another one risk factor that can lead to hypertension. So people who stay for too long in a position without moving around and without being engaged in physical activities tend to be predisposed to hypertension. So when you sit down for too long, this should come to your mind to move around. And other risk factors are salt consumption, which is among the dietary intake. Excessive intake of salt can lead to hypertension.
Okay. All right, Dr. Akonde, let's stretch. We've been sitting for a while, right? Let's take a break as a way of checking ourselves. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
I am pleased to announce encouraging news from the National Bureau of Statistics, which released the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, for April 2025, only yesterday. According to the report, the headline inflation rate for April stood at 23.71%, This represents a decrease of 0.52% from the 24.23% recorded in March 2025. Similarly, month-on-month inflation dropped by a notable 2.04% from 3.90% in March to 1.86% in April. This, of course, did not just happen by chance. The president is focused and is determined, and his determination and his interventions are clearly paying off. The benefits of reform, though gradual, are real and measurable.
What more do you need?
Guys, food is ready.
Cook to impress.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
My morning ritual starts here, surrounded by life-made furniture. From my wardrobe to my bed, Life-Made Furniture's whole house customization designs every piece to perfection. I love that in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, Ibadan, and Kano, there's Life-Made Furniture.
For a whole house customization and furniture projects, call 081 2000 6000 or visit elifemade.com. LifeMade, your life made forever.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
Thank you for staying tuned. And still talking hypertension from Lagos, Hingano John Adams reported that medical experts say when diagnosed early and managed properly with the right medication and lifestyle changes, those with the condition can live normal lives.
There is a global rising trend in the cases of the silent killer, hypertension. Data by the World Health Organization shows that the number of people living with hypertension doubled from 650 to 1.3 billion between 1990 and 2019, with almost half of that number being unaware of their condition. In 2020 alone, records show that hypertension-related deaths in Nigeria were more than 10,000, representing 0.72% of total deaths. To stem this worrisome trend, experts are calling on the people to always check their blood pressure.
It's important to know your status because one might not have all the symptoms that are described when you go on the internet to check. So before you go out again today, before you sleep tonight, and before you plan tomorrow, I would say check your blood pressure.
Even with the alarming figures, some people do not care.
To be sincere, I didn't check it, but I always see the symptoms. Once I know that, okay, I have constant headache, because at times I may need rest.
For these respondents, however, health is wealth.
I'm hypertensive and I take the drug and I check it every day.
I'm not a hypertensive patient, no. Though I used to check it.
With adequate enlightenment, experts believe Nigeria can still achieve the global target of reducing the prevalence of hypertension by 33% by 2030. In Lagos, Hinginu, John Adams, NTA News.
Dr. Akonde, I'm sure you were surprised when you had the respondent there say he's not bothered. And that's the same story for a lot of people. They don't care. So how much awareness, is being carried out to ensure that people understand the burden of hypertension?
Thank you very much. Awareness about hypertension cannot be overemphasized, considering the burden of the disease. And you could hear from the clip that a lot of them are telling you that once I see the symptoms, while in the actual sense, hypertension has no symptoms. In fact, by the time you start feeling what you call symptoms, complication has set in already. So you should be wary of this. And that is why we need to intensify awareness creation for people to know that hypertension is a silent killer. If you feel headache, if you feel so nauseated, if you feel dizzy, or you feel that your heart is panting and in an abnormal pattern, that can tell you that complications might have set in. And in the course of creating awareness, the WHO, World Health Organization, and United Nations has, set aside 17th of May every year for creation of awareness to the populace, and at the same time, a kind of call to action to policymakers and to everyone who are in the business of preventing hypertension and who has the technicalities in the control of this management of this ailment. So hypertension awareness creation during this course of global celebration, World Hypertension Day, the theme for this year is measure your blood pressure, accurately control it, and live longer. We discovered that everyone can measure BP. And what is missing is the accuracy of measurement. When you talk to people, they will tell you, I check before I leave home today. And you could recall from the clip from Lagos, a lot of people check this blood pressure wrongly. Perhaps.
So what is the right way? Sorry to cut in.
Okay. The right way to check of blood pressure is for you to approach a healthcare worker, a designated healthcare worker who has been trained and who has his or her capacity built in this aspect, can check your blood pressure for you. Before your blood pressure is checked, the most important thing is to ensure that you have a validated BP measuring equipment, which we call commonly as SFIG. So when you get your BP apparatus, you need to make sure that it is validated. And you have to rest for about 5 to 15 minutes before you check your blood pressure.
Okay, so aside the checking, or rather when you check, what's the next step to take? And you know, what is even alarming from reports we're getting is that young adults too do get hypertension, which is scary. It's not about age again.
Yes, it's not about age again. Gone were the days when we think hypertension is all about old age. Right now, the trajectory is changing, and you could see a whole lot of young adults coming down with stroke, coming down with paralysis, coming down with kidney failure, and this is as a result of the chronic impact of hypertension on hand organs like the heart, the kidney, the liver, the brain. And when you discover this, you get to know that change in lifestyle, you know, modernized, westernized lifestyle, eating of junk food, excessive consumption of salt and fats are actually leading to all this change in trajectory. A young individual coming down with kidney failure as a result of hypertension were not a kind of, you know, experience we had in the past. But now there is what we call slump and die syndrome. Even the young people are more involved in this. They will tell you he was agile, he was okay, and before you knew it, everything went, you know, like down. So we really need to create a kind of awareness and check our blood pressure regularly, approach a health worker who will help you to confirm if your blood pressure is excessively high and diagnose hypertension. Just like I've said earlier on, you need to check on 2 or more occasions to actually know if you are suffering from hypertension. And by checking this, you will be able to be given a kind of counseling, lifestyle modification. Among the risk factors are the alcohol consumption, smoking. If you are the type that engage in this kind of vices, you are going to be advised against such vices so that your blood pressure could be normalized. And with the amount of salt that we consume nowadays, so we really need to be on a cautious side. High salt intake is #1 single factor that are being implicated among the causes of hypertension.
I don't know how you can say this in few seconds. Is the treatment affordable for those who are suffering?
Yes, this
in few seconds, Dr. Akonde.
Yes, this question is very important because a whole lot of people are not even aware that even through your primary health care centers, you can check your blood pressure free of charge. And at the same time, you could be given a low dose, a low cost, you know, effective medication that can help you to live longer and have your BP controlled. So everyone should approach primary health care center nearest to them and ask for help.
Indeed, asking for help is the first step, actually. Thank you so much, Dr. Aderonke Akonde. Thank you for coming on Weekend File.
Thank you.
And enlightening us. So let's take another break. You can have that quick check, right? Let's go.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria, The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Afam Bogeneka, Ebim Nagara Dimawa village, Abuja, Nazo Afeba. So Esom Nandi register na NSR government register with my NIN. So government wears them ATM card. Nji we worth 25,000 naira 3 times. And ega hayam keta barumuru na dem eji megoro makamihe. Jikweru mehendozo. Thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Net's Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
Discussions on Tuesday Live of 28th of May 2025 will focus on wrong medical diagnosis, the challenges, the solutions, plus the importance of the reserved seats for women bill to Nigeria's sustainable development. Tuesday Live, every week at 10:30 p.m. Tuesday Live, incisive and refreshing as ever. Join us.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
Thank you for staying with us. On the global scene, the 34th Arab League Summit has kicked off in Baghdad, Iraq, with leaders calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. And Ethiopia's opposition party denounces ban as threat to peace deal. Let's hear from Francis Udojo.
United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres, as well as Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, were among leaders in attendance at the 34th Arab League Summit in Baghdad. At the meeting, Antonio Guterres called for a permanent and immediate ceasefire in Gaza after Israel announced early stages of an intensified operation on the besieged Palestinian territory. Also speaking at the event, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi urged his American counterpart Donald Trump to apply pressure for a Gaza ceasefire. Iraq Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, whose country is hosting the Arab League Summit, says his country will provide $40 million for the reconstruction of Lebanon and Gaza after wars with Israel. Meanwhile, several thousands of people took to the streets in Libya's capital, Tripoli, to protest the government's handling of deadly fighting between armed groups under Prime Minister Abdulhamid Dibeiba, whose resignation they demanded. Ahead of the demonstration, the UN support mission in Libya had underlined citizens' right to peaceful protest and warned against any escalation of violence. Francis Udojo, NTA.
All right, next will be sports update, and Ayo Deji Makinde is set for us. Ayo?
Thanks, Ruth. Let's begin somewhere, but not in Nigeria, but it affects Nigeria because the country has marked a significant milestone at ITTF World Championships in Doha, Qatar, by clinching victory in the mixed doubles event. The draw of Olajide Omotayo and Rabiat Ayola staged a thrilling comeback from 9-11 and 7-11 to defeat Egypt's Mahmoud Elmi and Fatih Hand 3-2 in the round of 64. Over 300 players from 70-member association are competing for honors in 5 events over 9 days. In golf, handicap 16 player Ayodeji Ayobode has set his sights on winning more trophies in golf after emerging overall winner of the Nigerian Air Force at 61 golf tournaments, which held at the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan Golf Course in Abuja. Ayobode, a wing commander with the Nigerian Air Force, grossed 78 with a net score of 62 to outplay a field of over 150 golfers who participated in the one-day tournament. Correspondent Olaleko Kilajolu reports that the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, performed the ceremonial tee-off of the tournament.
It's an avenue to bring amateur golfers within the services, Army, Navy, the Air Force, both serving and retired together as a way of sustaining an existing relationship and promoting camaraderie. So that's the reason why we have organized this, so also celebrating the Nigerian Air Force as.
In football, Bayelsa Queens are champions of the Nigerian Women's Football League after an emphatic 4-1 victory over Niger Rattles in the Super 6 tournament in Ogun State. The victory moved the Prosperity Ladies to 10 points after 5 match days ahead of Nasarawa Amazons on 9 points and Edo Queens on 8 points. It is the first time since 2022 that Bayelsa Queens are dominating the Women's Football League. In another development, Super Falcons forward Rashidat Ajibade is set to leave Atletico Madrid Femenino after 4 years in the Spanish capital. Ajibade, who joined the club in 2021 from Nigeria's FC Robo Queens, quickly established herself as a key player, with the Spanish side making 138 appearances and scoring 40 goals for the club. Atletico Madrid confirmed her departure earlier on Saturday. Away from Nigeria, Crystal Palace secured its first major trophy in the club's 164-year history after a 1-0 victory over Manchester City in the FA Cup final on Saturday. The defeat marks the first time Pep Guardiola and Manchester City have finished a season without silverware since the 2016-2017 season. Eberechi Eze's 16th minute strike ended years of waiting, and the Eagles will now campaign in the UEFA Europa League next season. And that's your sports. It's back to Ruth.
Many thanks, Ayo. And just before we go, let's do weather, right?
You're welcome. Here's your weather update for Sunday. We're expecting some morning showers along the coastal cities of the country. So if you're heading out early, you might want to grab an umbrella. Further inland, particularly over the high grounds of Plateau, the Federal Capital Territory, some parts of Kogi, Benue, Bauchi, Gombe, as well as parts of Kaduna, Taraba, and Adamawa, there's a chance of thunderstorms. These storms could come with strong winds, so stay alert if you're in these areas. In the southern part of the country, we are looking at scattered rainfall, nothing too widespread, but still enough to bring brief interruptions. The key thing to watch out for in these storms is the gusty winds accompanying these storms. Meanwhile, the north remains mostly clear skies throughout the day, with temperatures soaring into the 40s. So it's going to be a hot and dry day up there. Thanks for watching.
Now you know, but as you prepare for tomorrow, remember Sunday, May 18th is International Day of Visit Your Relatives. Now, sometimes I know it's hard when families do not live close. Often siblings, cousins, parents, and their relatives are in different parts of the country or the world. Now, one's hectic life makes it easy to get caught up in the business of today's fast-paced lifestyle. We often lose touch with our relatives. So the International Day of Visit Your Relatives reminds us to stop for a moment and take some much-needed time to visit those relatives we care about. Life is too short not to make time for family, right? Especially for those we have not seen or spoken to for a while. So go to bed with this and plan your visit schedule tomorrow. And allow me to add, make sure you check your BP when you see those relatives so you can live longer, right? It's Weekend File for today. Thank you for being part of it. I'm Ruth Aguele. Good night.